What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we are going to be doing a 2-round mock draft. Of course, I am joined here with a guy who does not need an introduction, Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy. Feel free to introduce yourself anyway.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for having me on for the third annual.
Third annual.
I'm looking forward to it, man. This is fun every year, and it's just good to have a little live back and forth draft talk. Always fun to see what you think about guys and agree and disagree. It's always fun.
The disagreeing appears to be more enjoyable by the other people who are watching, but I think there's going to be plenty of that. So we're going to be doing it this way. Marcus is going to be taking the odds. I'm going to be taking the evens. We've already agreed to 2 trades. This is after the trade with Carolina. So that's not one of the ones that are included. We also did a trade with the Raiders moving up with the Cardinals, and you guys can see what the value of that trade is at the end of the video. And then we also did one for Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. So without further ado, let's get this kicked off. Marcus, you have the number 1 overall pick.
All right. I am going to be taking Bryce Young, my QB1. Don't need to get too far into it, although I will say there's a lot of people saying this is going to be Stroud, including yourself.
Yep.
And look, would it be the worst thing in the world? No, but man, I don't think he's that level of quarterback prospect that you give up not just the picks, but DJ Moore as well.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, I think, if the size stuff clears, could be a guy that's worth giving that much up for. And it's who I would take anyway. I would take him if I was the Bears, if I stayed put. So, we're going Bryce Young, number 1.
Awesome. I mean, Bryce Young is my quarterback 1. I do think he's in a league of his own as well. That's why he's still there, even given the potential size constraints. But at pick number 2, this is going to be CJ. Even though he has the same agent as Deshaun Watson, I don't know if that really puts him out of the range, so to speak, for a franchise quarterback for the Texans.
Yeah. Number 3, where you said we had the Raiders trading up. I think they are... especially now that the Aaron Rodgers kind of wind has shifted away from Las Vegas. To me, they seem like a team that ideally would get a quarterback this year. And we're going to make that move and come up for Will Levis, who I think can run McDaniel's system very well. He's got playmakers. I think, honestly, an underrated offensive line. Could see this being a more successful move than a lot of people realize. I'm a little bit higher on Will Levis, I think, than overall consensus. There's probably some people that like him even more than I do, but
PFF probably being one of them. PFF loves Will Levis. So obviously I think this is pretty obvious where it leaves me. I'm going to go Anthony Richardson here for the Colts.
First ever 4 straight quarterback.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, but when you really shake this thing out, and I think with the Panthers coming up, it really creates an urgency there without the Bears picking. Like if the Bears would have moved down to 2, I think you obviously would have gotten a defensive player in there. But I mean, what are you going to do if you're the Colts? They need to go a young quarterback.
Have to.
It's the only guy left. They are linked to him. So
yep. Oh yeah.
I think
I love it. Love it big time.
It's getting this way, man.
Yeah.
Well, Seahawks at number 5, we're going to go Will Anderson. I think they would entertain Jalen Carter. I talked about I had them getting Jalen Carter in my last mock draft, and Seahawks fans were saying, they've actually gone away from being that team that'll take character risk guys. Yeah. I don't know. I think Pete Carroll will do it again if it's Jalen freaking Carter, but with Will Anderson sitting there, I think they're very similar level prospects, but when you factor in the off-field stuff with Carter, give me Will Anderson.
Well, I think that leaves the Lions with an easy decision here with Jalen Carter on the board. It's a straightforward decision. It's Jalen Carter. Sometimes the risk is worth taking.
Yep. And Dan Campbell can,
he can motivate.
He can give them a friendly look of death and say, don't be an idiot.
Yep.
And
I love it.
I wouldn't want to disappoint that man either. So I think they're building something special, and he would be so freaking fun there. All right. Number 7 is going to be Tyree Wilson. Good move for the Cardinals. Probably we're thinking about him at 3 anyway.
Yeah.
Someone that can be a pocket pusher, and it's one of their many, many needs. So it's a good move for them.
Definitely. For pick number 8 for the Falcons, I look at this player who has already one of his coaches as a defensive assistant. It's going to be Devon Witherspoon. He has that alpha mentality, big hitter. I think a cornerback too is always necessary, especially since I don't think Casey Hayward is going to be a cornerback 2 quality player for a long time, also on contract for 1 more year. So it just makes sense to get your succession plan early.
Yeah, him and AJ Terrell would be
nasty
within a year, like one of the best, if not the best cornerback tandems.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brace yourselves, Bears fans. I'm going to shake things up here a little bit. Look, I get it. Offensive line's a big need. We are going to play as if we have just successfully navigated free agency, maybe brought in a tackle and a lineman. The line is not this catastrophic turnstile that everybody talks about. Yes, they need to improve it, but I think you bring in a Jawan Taylor or a Mike McGlinchey, you sign a guard in there, whether it's the Denver, what's his name, Alex?
Dalton Reisner?
Dalton Reisner or whatever. Like, you still have Whitehead. Tevin Jenkins was low-key like a top 10 guard last year. So let's not act like this is
sponsored
a complete dire situation. Free agency can still help you out here. Let's complete the offense with Bijan Robinson. David Montgomery is a free agent. Bijan is the highest graded player I've ever had. And you pair that with not just the new receivers, but Justin Fields' threat as a runner, a system that we know these Shanahan teams love to run the ball. Everything is going to work in harmony here. I promise you the offensive line is going to be okay. And this offense can be electric with Bijan Robinson.
Definitely a very fun pick. Not one that I personally would always do, but I mean, that's just because I believe in the depth of this class. That's all. I mean, Bijan's a freaking stud. There's no disagreeing with that. He is the consensus RB1, no doubt in my mind. It would be interesting to see. And again, if you address the needs in free agency, I think that's fine. You know, you're at that point.
Just going to have to wait a year, though.
I think the Bears can develop defense well enough.
Well, let me clarify before we move on. If we didn't just see a run of Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, and Tyree Wilson, like, you would go with one of those guys for sure. But I'm not reaching on, in my mind, Myles Murphy or Lucas Van Ness. I think, man, Bijan's just so good. He's so unbelievably good. And look at the efficiency running backs had last year. Running backs are making a comeback. They have value. When you can be an elite guy, and he will and can be an elite guy.
Hey, I mean, I feel bad for you having to watch Bijan Robinson go against your team twice a year. But Eagles, I'm going to be going Joey Porter Jr. I think he's just on another level. My number 2 player in the draft. Incredible length, incredible field awareness. And what I've seen is that even when he is in a situation where he's being beaten, I've seen him learn on the fly and, fly Eagles fly, no pun intended. But you can see that, he has that work mentality, and I'd love to see that in a player.
Yeah. I mean, I would have gone Witherspoon, but
it's already gone.
I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Paris Johnson for me for the Titans. This is, if he gets past the Bears now, like, I think you still lock that in. Scheme fit, biggest need. You got the Ohio State connection with Vrabel. It's all there.
Yeah, makes sense. Obviously, selected the left tackle last year out of Ohio State. Continued the trend. Pick number 12. I wanted to go Myles Murphy, but I've done that for the past couple mocks that I've done. And I want to revisit something that, I think is a little bit novel. And that's the idea of moving Peter Skoronski inside to guard or center. And I think he's smart enough to be able to play center, has that dominant level offensive line presence. And it's just a very thin class in terms of the interior. So getting somebody who could be that all pro level player would be totally worth it at pick 12.
Yeah. And you can always kick him back out to right tackle in the future if you eventually move on there from, dude, I always struggle with Jawan Taylor versus
Titus Howard.
There you go. For some reason, those two guys, they're like the same player too.
Yeah.
Same exact player.
I know.
All right. Number 13, I get to pick for my Green Bay Packers, even though they're like low key my least favorite team in the NFL these days, but
gotta love it.
They do have my heart. We are, we didn't clarify this if this was a predictive mock or what we would do mock. It's just kind of a hybrid. What we think makes sense, I suppose, would be the way to say it. But
Yeah.
the way I went about this, because Green Bay is such a particular way in the way they draft, I made one pick how I would do it, and then the next pick what I think they would do. Obviously, getting this 13th pick for Aaron Rodgers for the Jets. A lot of talk about will they get this pick. I think it's close. I think it's very close. If it's not this pick, it's a first round next year and a little bit more on the back end.
Yeah.
He's not going to come cheap. He's not going to come free and easy. So you can put that behind him. We are going to take Quentin Johnston here, my number one wide receiver there. It is a polarizing draft class, but if you haven't heard by now, the Green Bay Packers are going to take every wide receiver that has under 6 foot on their listing and under 200 pounds, and they're going to put a big fat effing X over that player. So there's about 4 receivers in this draft that the Packers would even think about taking. Quentin Johnston is one of them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's impossible that they would take this player because he does fit their thresholds. I don't want to say they overvalue because I think it's really valuable, but just like Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, they want rack guys, catch those crossing routes, outrun the defense, and he totally fits the system. So love the fit. Him and Christian Watson together, all of a sudden you the year you trade away Aaron Rodgers, you have now built maybe the most dynamic wide receiver duo in terms of athletic profiles, which is just hilarious.
That is fun.
But hey, let Jordan Love cook and give him Quentin Johnston.
Love it. For me, I'm going to be going Christian Gonzalez just because you can see the raw potential there and the upside's ridiculous. If I get to see Christian Gonzalez go anywhere, I'd want him to go with Bill Belichick, and the sky's the limit in terms of getting him as a boundary.
I think that's his floor. Yeah. I don't see Bill letting him go. So back up with the Packers at 15. What I think they would do here is take Myles Murphy, and it's really not like a bad pick or anything. It's just this is the Packers pick. They want the high RAS guys, and Murphy hasn't done his testing yet, but I do expect it would be pretty damn good. I don't think he's Rashawn Gary. I really don't. I do see the tools. I have him as more of a late 1, early 2 kind of guy. So he would get a year to kind of sit just as Rashawn Gary did. And be their number 3 guy and eventually give you an out for Preston Smith. And this is just what they want to do. They want to draft defense first round. They want freak athletes. It's been going on for years. So
love it. Yeah. Myles is a fun guy. Obviously, to me, he's a dream pick there for the Packers at pick 16.
Let me just say, I went him over. I have I think they would think about Lucas Van Ness, but I think because they like stand-up guys for they're more of a stand-up 3-4 system. I don't know if Van Ness has the lateral ability to do that.
That's a fair point. At pick 16 for Washington, we were looking at the corners, and it makes sense that right down the road from DC, they've been seeing Deonte Banks as an absolute freak show of like pure athletic nature. And to me, I just think that it's a lock move based on how he tested as well.
Yep. Yeah. Number 17, the Steelers would love to have gone Joey Porter, but I do love the Brian Brzee pick here. They desperately actually need interior defensive linemen, which has come a long way for the Steelers there with what that group looked like just a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah,
but it's basically down to like Cam and right? Cam? Did I screw that up?
Cam Hayward. No, you're good.
Cam Hayward, yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah.
I don't know why that sounded wrong, but him and like DeMarvin Leal at this point, because Ogunjobi, well, he was just a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So not only do they need guys that can step in and get in the way now, and Brzee is, I'm not going to say he can't be a day 1 player, but we just don't know. He's played like 900 snaps.
I know.
He needs to play with better pad level and learn the position much better, but man, he's a freak. I'm surprised he weighed in at 298 because he looks like he's 320 pounds, but he moves like he's 298. So, yeah, I mean, he is literally the Cam replacement down the road.
Yeah.
Rotate him. Probably want to find a vet in a deep class that can play a little more nose and stuff right away. But it's time to get the pipeline going again in Pittsburgh, which is completely run dry.
Definitely. Pick number 18 for the Lions. I think that we're gifted a pretty awesome pairing here with Aiden Hutchinson, and that's going to be with Lucas Van Ness, just somebody who has just a raw athleticism and somebody that definitely now using him as a pure edge too would totally fit that Dan Campbell system. He definitely seems to have really good work ethic. So I think he's going to be one of those dogs that they're looking for.
Yep. Totally. I feel like you've had a lot of lock picks here.
I know it feels like that, but we all know when the draft comes, there's going to be absolutely nothing that's locked.
Well, it's going to get a little bit less chalk as we go here. 19, I struggled with this one. I definitely thought about Cam Smith for the Bucks.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm going to take Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Low key, Shaq Barrett's going to be 31 this year. And at this rate, I don't think that, oh boy, what's the other edge that they took? Joe
Tryon-Shoyinka.
Thank you. I don't know if he's on a trajectory for a second contract either.
Yeah.
So they are, a stand-up 3-4 system. Shaq Barrett's not the biggest guy. Nolan Smith can easily replace him, or if Shaq Barrett somehow keeps it going.
Yeah.
They need to increase that pass rush, man. It was brutal last year, and Shaq's coming off an injury. So
I dig it. Pick number 20. We were kind of not gifted the best of luck based on the guys who are available, but I think that Jack Smith and Jigbo would be kind of that perfect wide receiver 3 that you guys can have. And that doesn't sound very glorious as a first round pick, but when you do factor in age, you're not just selecting him to be a wide receiver 3 his whole career. I think he can really take a step up and be one of those guys similar to Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 production down the line with DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Number 21, the LA Chargers going to take Brian Branch. A little bit of a disappointing workout, but something I've talked a lot about is how converted slot corners thrive in hybrid cover 4 systems. Playing quarters from safety is very similar to playing slot corner in a lot of different ways. You have to kind of anticipate where the receiver is going to break. You got to have that quick snap, and you got to be an athlete too. So I think if he's going to be a 4.58 40 kind of guy, and there's a lot of quarters style safeties that have been really good that aren't necessarily burners.
Yeah.
Like that is the scheme fit at this point. Cause I don't know if you can be a really good, especially a slot corner in the first round running a 4.58. No.
Yeah.
So if he's going first round, it's going to be to the Chargers, the Packers. Like it's going to be one of these Buffalo, it's going to be one of these split safety Fangio style quarters defenses.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's like Nick Saban has basically ran the show as far as hybrid coverages and match quarters for the last 10 years. So you're not going to throw anything at him that he can't handle year one. Yeah. Much higher floor player than they thought they were getting in Adderley years ago.
Yeah. No, Brian Branch there is a pick that I like to make quite often, but I usually tend to go after the wide receiver route. Doesn't seem to be a bad choice at all either way. But at pick number 22, there's a pretty big lack of legit cornerbacks that are left that are going to be genuine starters, and especially at the level that you'll need if you are the Baltimore Ravens. So I think Cam Smith is the last guy who's going to genuinely be a first round quality corner. And, being able to take him here, also take him away from a potential contender in the Vikings and so on, probably is a very smart move.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a receiver here for the Vikes at 23. It's going to be Zay Flowers. And you don't need an alpha through X. You got Justin Jefferson. Yeah. Zay Flowers can do everything else. Literally, I don't, I was a little underwhelmed by the 40. I thought he was Brandon Cooks. He's not quite that vertical threat, but he's really good deep route runner. He's still going to be able to win deep, even if he's not dominant there. But everything he does, short to intermediate, what I do like is that he put on about 10 pounds. Like if he ran that at 172 pounds, I'd be really worried. But he gets ripped, and I'm not as worried about him dealing with physical coverage in the short to intermediate. So I still like him, and we'll go him for the Vikes.
Awesome. So at pick number 24, we are going to be going after an offensive tackle / guard here in Broderick Jones at 6'4". I trust that if you do have to stick him to guard, it's going to be just a lot easier of a transition. To be fair, your quarterback is tall anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But Broderick Jones is super polished, and you can give him the Walker Little treatment if you want to.
Yeah, I like it. Tough team to pick for. Keep the pipeline going at O-line. Hard to really go wrong there.
Yeah, definitely.
I just had a thought. Broderick Jones, Tyler Smith, pretty much the same player.
I would not go there. I was a huge fan of Tyler Smith. Like, I'm not the right type of guy to make those comparisons with. Tyler Smith to me was a first rounder. So I fell in love with Tyler Smith. His pure power was just something unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a difference there. I agree.
Yeah, I think Broderick is more consistent and technical and more refined. I think he still needs work, but I think Tyler was he was that bull in the china shop.
That's fair.
That's fair. Absolutely annihilated people. But yeah.
All right, the Giants going to be popular to just go best receiver available. Jordan Addison's there.
Yeah.
I think Dable can work around his size concerns. Someday down the road, you're still going to want to get a true number one guy, but for where you're working with right now, I think they can make it happen.
Yeah. Cowboys, we're going back-to-back years with offensive line picks, and that's going to be Darnell Wright. Terrence Steele's there for one more year. Darnell's also already hinted to be potentially kicked into guard at the early part of his career, so it's going to be perfect for the short as well as the long run. It's a guy who I actually kind of wanted to think about for the Jaguars a little more seriously because he could actually just step in day one for Jawan Taylor's absence. But I think Broderick Jones is pretty great too.
Yeah. We're going to keep the tackle run going with DeWand Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love the fit in Buffalo, man. Yeah. They have got to get someone ready to step in because Spencer Brown is not it. Big time.
Yeah.
And you're not worried about the height concerns. You already got the biggest quarterback in the NFL behind him.
Yep.
I say height concerns. Like there's certain teams that you probably don't want to take DeWand Jones because he's freaking Empire State Building there at right tackle. Like the Cardinals can't take DeWand Jones, right? Yeah. The Broncos can't take DeWand Jones because you just won't be able to throw to the right side of the field. It'll just bounce off his ass. So, Bills, we're going to go DeWand Jones. Love the fit.
Yeah. And this pick is more of I love going offensive line in the first place, but it's also a way of giving a middle finger to Kansas City. We're going to go Anton Harrison here. Make sure that the top tier left/right tackle is off the board.
Yeah. Hard to argue with that one.
Yeah.
The Saints at 29, Kalijah Cansey. I mean, we struggled with this pick. Yeah. It's tough with the edge guys coming off the board. I just noticed, I don't think we took Keon White in our draft.
We did not take Keon White, did we?
Well, maybe we can adapt on the fly.
We'll find him. Yeah.
But we'll find him. This is a little rich for Keon White for both of us, I think. And man, I know there's Daniel Jeremiah's, holding up the Keon White flag and waving it very, very hard and fast. But I just refuse to believe that a 24-year-old defensive end that didn't run at the combine is going to go in the first round that doesn't have good tape. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So he would theoretically they would want a big body defensive end. That's why I'm bringing him up.
Yeah.
But with the depth in this class, I'm going to wait on that. Okay. And then it just got really hard and best player available, Kalijah Cansey here. Yeah. They also need interior guys. They're going to need some more beef, but they definitely have been willing to go with undersized 3 techs. Yeah. And they're going to need help with that pass rush too. It's not looking good for next year.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Kalijah's a very interesting player. I hope that his arm length doesn't get ahead of him. But a player who is also similar size but does not have that issue with arm length is, I'm going to let you say it this time.
Adetomiwa Adebawore.
There we go. Adetomiwa Adebawore. Somebody who I've been saying his name wrong the whole time, so that's on me. But 449.
Nobody else knows how to say his name, so.
I mean, you read the name. It's not something that's easy to read, but definitely 6'2", 282, 34-inch arms, 4'4", 940, just absolute athletic freak. And you get to stick him behind BG's fat ass for a year. That's all good signs for me.
All right, number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs. With the way the board fell, with the tackles gone, the edge guys gone. Ideally, I'd go there, but you're kind of sitting here like, all right, we had a great draft last year. We just won the Super Bowl. We don't have glaring needs other than tackle, but there's nothing you can do here. You're not going to take, maybe Matthew Bergeron, but come on now, that's a huge reach. Yeah. Just pick someone up in free agency for cheap. You'll do better than that. Yeah. So I'm going to take just one pick, Dalton Kincaid. He's going to be my 3rd tight end this year. He's not going to play because from what I've heard, I haven't completely finished his eval, but it doesn't sound like he's a very good blocker. And you already have Kelsey as your wing, so you can't really have 2 of those guys out there. But when you look at how important, we learned how important that Kelsey Mahomes relationship is this year. Kelsey is not getting any younger. At some point,
Yeah.
they're not going to have him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is almost like like in a this is a stretch maybe, but it's kind of like taking a quarterback 3 years before you need to ensure that you can help that offense go, because I just think that's so important with when Mahomes gets into those playmaking situations that he does a million times. Where's he going every time? It's Kelsey.
Yeah.
And Kincaid does that same stuff with the reactionary stuff. He's a smart player. He's athletic. And he's going to be able to pick Kelsey's brain for 2 years before you get there. It's an insurance pick. And it's just one pick. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I don't think
the way the board fell.
Yeah, with the way the board fell, it's like, who else are you going to get?
Yeah.
It's just BPA. For the Steelers, though, we're going to get a new nickname in town. His name's going to be Jack Hamble. Linebacker is definitely a position that we've been kind of starving for a while. Free agent moves have kind of confirmed that. He's the only Mike-style linebacker at above 235 pounds that I really trust in the class. And I just think he's an awesome player, tested out very well. And his issue was primarily athleticism. So no longer the issue.
Yep. Day one starter.
33,
we're going to go Michael Mayer for the Texans. Probably doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. Really good player.
Yeah.
Kind of starting to fall at this point. They need a tight end. They've been doing this rotation of random people for years.
Yeah. Michael Mayer's a stud. But pick number 34, the Cardinals. I think a boundary DB is pretty essential. I'm pretty sure you guys got what's his name? From the Raiders, Trayvon Mullen. Obviously not there anymore.
I think they cut him.
You guys, I know they cut him after trading for him, but it was obvious that going after a defensive back was at least on their priority list. And when Gannon comes in after having Darius Slay and Garrett Bradbury, I don't think that's going to change. So Tyreek Stevenson is going to be that type of guy, one of those high ceiling press man cover corners.
Yeah, their corner needs are so bad that I wouldn't be surprised if they're thinking top 10 pick for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But their edge need is just as bad. That's what's messed up.
That's the sucky part, man. That's the really sucky part.
The Colts at 35. Look, if Anthony Richardson's got to start right away, let's lean into it. Let's give him everything we possibly can. Let's give him a guy that is going to create and just make things easy. Josh Downs.
Yep. Josh Downs. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing Seattle's intriguing draft. Now we have Will Anderson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and another player that usually is listed at number 20 for them. That's Osiris Torrance. Just a big, meaty dude. Just not, 23-inch vertical is absolutely embarrassing. But, I don't think it's the end all be all. But good enough player, especially at 36.
37, maybe the biggest slam dunk pick here.
Yeah.
We both love him. BJ Ojulari to the Rams. Yeah. Ojulari is a little bit lighter, so even though he's a hometown guy, he might not be a big fit for like the Saints or even like the Chiefs. So he might, fall a little bit for that reason. But Rams aren't afraid of that. They like their undersized edge guys, and he's a fantastic pass rusher.
Oh man, love him to death. My number 7 player in the class, just hard on.
I don't think you're crazy. Like, it's out there, but I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I know I'm probably in the 1% of all of his fans, but for the Cardinals, I think that going a center is pretty key. And, I think John Michael Schmitz is pretty awesome. So being able to replace the vacancy is important, and you get good value at the same time.
Hudson just retired, so plug and play. All right, number 39 is actually a pretty sweet pick too. We went Darnell Washington to the Falcons. Him and Kyle Pitts, not only like just, it's two freaks, but the way they play together systematically, a lot of people are going to be like, we don't need a tight end. We got Kyle Pitts. No, you do need a tight end because you don't have a tight end. Kyle Pitts is a wing player and a slot receiver and a perimeter receiver. He's all those things three things before he's an actual tight end.
Yep.
Arthur Smith wants to live in 12 personnel. Ran the second most out of anybody in the league last year. And that means he needs a tight end. So Darnell Washington, it speaks for itself, man. Just watch his highlights, watch whatever. He will block, and then he will do all the other slip stuff, the dirty work. Like, he is going to be such a perfect fit in this offense.
Yeah. No, that's great. Pick number 40. We lost DJ Moore, but there's nobody to really replace him. So I'm going to replace him with someone who's equally as good as a receiver in terms of at his position. I think that's Jahmyr Gibbs. You're going to pair him back up with Bryce Young as well. So you got some crazy speed out there, and you have a really good, reliable receiving option.
Yeah. Why not? The Saints at 41. This is where we're going to take a defensive end. They, like I said, they want bigger bodied guys.
Yeah.
That's going to be Felix Anaduke-Uzama. I
Yep.
like him. I think he's going a little bit too high lately for my liking, but I still have a second round grade on him. I'm not even for sure that he's going to be a number 2 edge. I think, like,
do you want to switch it for Keon White then?
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah. I was
especially for what they would do.
Yeah. It makes sense.
I do have if it were me, I would still go on Anaduke, just to be clear. But yeah, Keon White's my edge 13.
Oh, cheers. He's my edge 11. Yeah.
So
nice.
But I do think this would be Keon White.
Okay. Yeah. Realism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for the Titans, Will McDonald feels like just kind of a too good to be true at this spot. So we're going to go Will McDonald to get some extra edge help in there.
Okay. My pro comp for him is Harold Landry, by the way.
There you go. Perfect fit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, Maisie Smith. They need strong players. I know Keanu Benton's common here as well. It's fine. I think Maisie's a little bit stronger, a little bit more consistent against the run. And I think he needs to be unlocked a little bit more as a pass rusher. I don't know if you noticed the same thing where they have him in like a squatty potty stance all the time.
Yep.
But when they actually had him in a real pass rush stance, he showed some get off and showed some stuff. So I think there could be some hidden potential there.
Definitely. For the Jets, I want to be able to get a very athletic linebacker into a solid system. So Trenton Simpson is a no-brainer for me.
Yep. 45. This is going to be a little bit of a surprise, but we're going to go Chris Smith out of Georgia. And I really find myself liking his tape. I know he ran a 4.62. I don't believe it. I've seen him fly downfield.
Yeah.
Who was it? Richard LeCounte came out of Georgia, ran like a 4.8 as well. Like that didn't. I don't know what's going on. All these Georgia players are running. It's like they steal all the testing numbers from the safeties or something. But
just put it on the D line.
Man, I love the way he plays a deep half. Not a lot of people are talking about him as a free safety.
Yeah,
but he can play every position, which Belichick's obviously going to love. But they need a free safety. I think it's not the best safety class.
Yeah.
If they don't end up with a Jesse Bates, like I think he could start at free safety for them right away.
Yeah. For the Packers, I'm going to be going Sam Laporta, getting another receiving weapon that's just more consistent to me, just is totally worth it.
Okay. Pick 47, pretty good pick here for the Commanders. Steve Avila. They need meat on the inside.
They need meat.
Yeah.
They need meat. That's the phrase of the day. For the Steelers, I need to get a boundary corner for him. I'm going to be going Eli Ricks all day. I think his value is just a little too good to pass on here. And I think if he gets his mind right, he's going to be an absolute boss as a DB.
Okay. And then I'm going to go corner for the Lions at 49, Clark Phillips.
Yeah.
I think slot is just as big of a need as a perimeter starter for them. I think he's best player available. Some people are going to be looking at Keely Ringo maybe there, but I think he's much more of a risk. Whereas Clark Phillips, you know what you're getting. Tough dude, gonna be a Dan Campbell favorite.
Jack Campbell
getting all mixed up now.
Yeah. All right. Well, at pick 50, where I'm not going to let Keely Ringo slide any further, we have a run on DBs, and he goes to a spot that's desperate for one.
Yeah. After you pass on Cam Smith in the first, it makes sense. Fits their profile. We have another corner off the board for Seattle at 51.
Yeah.
Julius Brents, who's going to be tied to this team after not just their pick of Woolen last year, but historically, this is what they go for. 6'3", smart, tough dude. I don't know if they're going to be able to wait too much longer, even if this is a bit rich, but the Seahawks have never been afraid of taking their guy a little bit early.
I like it. Julius Brents is a really good player too. Definitely popped off. For the Chargers, Jalen Hyatt's still here. I don't think there's much of a debate as to whether it's a good value for him to add to the squad.
And then another corner, Emmanuel Forbes to the Dolphins, 166 pounds. So, man, like that's
really light.
Tough to know if that's going to play at the next level. I think if it is going to play, though, it's going to be in a Fangio system where they're running off zone. He can use that slender frame and that quick trigger, good ball skills. I think, probably best projects into one of those systems. So
that's fair. For the Bears, they're not shy of drafting slower corners in terms of the 40. And I think Jalen Jones is just a little too locked down. He ran a 4.56, but explosive enough, and his field awareness is still incredible.
Then the Detroit Lions at 55 again. So many picks here. One of my favorites in this draft here, Michael Wilson. And look, man, I love what they're building offensively, but you look at that depth chart, they have, DJ Chark's a free agent. Don't know if he'll be back.
Yep.
You trust that Jameson can be your deep threat. And then you have your slot guy in Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, it's like you have some other guys that have produced in that system that are fine, but they need another like big-bodied guy. Josh Reynolds is still there, I guess. But, man, I just really like Mike Wilson's route running ability. I think his ability to separate in the quick game. He's a physical player. He will run block. He's good after the catch. And while he's not a burner, you have that guy in Jameson Williams, so it's fine. You have another perimeter ball winner here, and it just kind of makes sense with who they have, in my opinion.
I like it. At pick 56, I think that getting a corner in general is pretty solid to be able to have for the Jaguars. They also just released Shaq Griffin, if I'm not mistaken. So Garrett Williams, regardless if they did or not, Garrett Williams is still a phenomenal player who is top 15 on my board.
Yep. And then the Giants, we're going to take Drew Sanders, the freaky athlete linebacker out of Arkansas. It's one of the bigger needs around the league. Is going to be a linebacker for them, and starting to become good value at this point for Sanders.
Definitely. Pick 58, I think that getting a T.Y. Hilton replacement for the Cowboys is great, and going right down the road to Houston would be awesome to see Nathaniel Dell.
True. The Buffalo Bills at 59, one of my favorite picks here. Sidney Brown. They desperately need safeties with Micah Hyde. He's still there, but coming off an injury, and Poyer, a free agent. I think Brown fits their system, a great athlete, and could potentially be a day one starter for him.
Okay, now for the Bengals. I mean, right now they're in potential safety hell, and I think it would be a very good idea to not go Nathaniel Dell, to be able to go after one of the guys who used to be a lock first-round pick, but kind of fell 8 bench press reps, kind of depressing, weighed less than the corner on the same team that I took earlier, Jalen Jones. That's Antonio Johnson. Yeah, definitely intriguing.
Hey, they can't be in safety hell with my dude Daxton Hill about to step in. I'll say that.
Oh, no.
They can find a box safety. They'll be fine.
And they just did with Antonio Johnson.
Yes, exactly. All right. The Bears are back up, picking 61st. And we're finally going to address the defensive line a little bit here.
Felix is on the board.
Although, let's flip this. We originally had Thule, but let's take Felix and Aduke Uzama. That's a perfect fit, man. That's the sweet spot for him, because I think he's a day one starter. But I don't think he's a diverse pass rusher, but he's not a dynamic. He's not going to come out and get 55 pressures every year, I don't think. So I think
he's a good player. Okay, so the final 2 picks of the draft. So starting off with the Eagles, based on the guys who are here, you could go a couple routes, but the ultimate one that stuck out to me is the fact that Howie's probably going to want something on offense, and the value of a player like Devon Achane. I know Kenneth Gainwell's already there, and he's done a great job, but I think Devon Achane has an X factor ability, and I don't think people are talking about it enough. I think that he can bring a whole new level of speed to the game, and I don't ever think that there's a bad thing about having a rotation of running backs, even if they are similar, even if they are redundant. I still think it's okay to keep fresh legs.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to reach his ceiling, it's going to be with a team like him or the Chiefs or the Bills, where there's a ton of space to operate.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts, we saw it with a speedy guy like Miles Sanders. It just opens everything up.
Yeah.
So from a scheme fit landing spot perspective, you nailed it.
Hand in glove.
And then our last pick here, the Kansas City Chiefs. Just going to slide in Keanu Benton.
Yeah.
Draft so well. I can just picture this pick. There's a starting defensive tackle on a rookie contract for the Chiefs, as if they needed that. Just a well-rounded player. He's gonna be able to get after the quarterback a little bit, defend the run a little bit. I don't think he's exceptional in either department, but just a good player.
Awesome. Well, that is going to be the video. Marcus, give yourself a shout out again. Hell, do it.
Thank you for having me on. And you guys can check out channel That Franchise Guy. We just dropped my top 10 edge ranking video, which is a good watch. And you can get my draft rankings on my Patreon, patreon.com/thatfranchiseguy, @TFG_football on Twitter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Marcus, for coming on. Obviously, you have a great channel and actually one of the guys who got me to get into this business. So my channel success is all thanks to your example. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you again, Marcus, and we'll see you on the far side.
Yeah. Thanks for having me
Peace.
on, Alex.
Thank you.